A long stretch of the New South Wales coastline remains on alert tonight as a bomb cyclone continues to bear down on the state. Strong winds and heavy rain have been the order of the day, with the State Emergency Service receiving hundreds of calls. There are several emergency warnings for the Central Coast due to erosion, with some residents directed to evacuate.
Far off the coast of New South Wales, an early sign of things to come. Wind speeds reached an estimated 90 kilometres per hour on Lord Howe Island, with supply ships forced to wait it out as powerful swells barreled in towards the mainland.
We might have to pack up the family and move out at least for a few nights.
Those fears were confirmed this afternoon when the State Emergency Service knocked on doors in parts of the Central Coast. Residents of some beachside properties in Wambrel and the Entrance have been told to evacuate due to the risk of coastal erosion.
Probably a bit more nervous than anything. We're hoping to have a more solid level of protection.
The SES has also been responding to danger further south, where high winds have brought down trees in the Illawarra.
We have been quite busy, and as the weather system makes its way down south, we have seen a lot more calls for requests of assistance.
Heavy rain has also closed off some roads, not to mention the local bowling club. More than 1,200 SES volunteers are out in force across the state. And with the worst still to come in some areas, many could be in for a long night. A weather emergency that's causing damage up and down the coast.
Well, let's go live now to Nabil Al-Nashar in Albion Park. Nabil, what can we expect heading into tomorrow?
Nick, the State Emergency Service is expecting a lot more wind, a lot more rain, and a lot more flash flooding throughout the night. They say the number one danger is to motorists who can't see water on the road in the dark. The Illawarra unit here has 2 flood rescue teams on standby working the night shift so they can respond when needed. When it comes to traffic and motorists driving through these areas, the danger is for them to be stuck and then having to wait a long time for a flood rescue to get to them. Residents have been warned and advised to check their homes for any property damage, avoid driving in floodwaters at all costs, and if they do get stuck, to be patient because it might be a while before somebody can get to them and help them.
OK, Nabil, thank you. Across Sydney, the wild weather has left thousands of properties without power. At Sydney Airport, it was a stressful day for many travellers, with more than 100 flights cancelled. And as the city was blanketed in rain for much of the day, damaging surf pounded the shoreline.
Sydney's coastline battered by ocean swells. Commuters battled their umbrellas, while others opted to go without.
It's very cold. I've just come from England where it's actually hotter.
I can't feel my toes. It's a little cold and wet.
How are you keeping dry?
But we're not. Look at a bit of a mess right now.
That this situation is going to worsen over the course of the next 24 hours, particularly later this afternoon and into the evening tomorrow.
State Emergency Service volunteers have responded to over 1,400 calls in the past 24 hours.
Many of those calls were also from people requesting information on what they can do to be better prepared.
By this afternoon, Sydney Airport had only 1 runway operational.
It's havoc here. We can't get our luggage through, so we've literally got to sit here.
Around 60 departures were cancelled, with another 60 flights to Sydney either cancelled or diverted.
We'd also be encouraging you to avoid unnecessary travel so that we don't need to see people out and about.
Over 16,000 people experienced unplanned power outages across the state. Ausgrid said it's unclear when it'll be able to restore power to those impacted and warned more outages could be possible.
We're certainly not creating a panic situation. What we want to do is create a strong awareness of what lies ahead.
Watch and act warnings remain in place for Sydney's coast. The city weathering the storm, but the toughest test may come tonight. Digby Werthmuller, ABC News, Sydney.
And Digby is live for us at Sydney Harbour. Digby, a pretty awful evening for the commute.
Yeah, Transport for New South Wales is expecting a pretty rough night for the state's public transport network as the weather intensifies. On the water, fast ferry services are still in operation, but the Manly service has been suspended due to large swells in the harbour there. There's also warnings of further disruption as this weather system moves through. On the rail network, buses have replaced or are replacing trains in both directions between on the Central Coast and Newcastle line, and that's after a tree fell on the overhead power lines at Dora Creek. And we've also just had confirmation that a tree did hit a moving train at Kingswood and that services between St Mary's and Penrith have been cancelled. So if you are a commuter tonight, your best advice is to check the Transport for New South Wales website for those latest updates. But look, for many, it will be a difficult night tonight.
It will indeed. Digby Werthmuller at Sydney Harbour. Thanks for that update. Let's check in with our meteorologist Tom Saunders now. And Tom, where is that low pressure system right now and which areas can expect the most intense weather overnight?
Well, Nick, after forming off the north coast overnight and moving south, the low has now stalled and will continue to hover off the central coast into tomorrow. And it's confirmed officially a bomb cyclone as the pressure dropped 24 millibars in just 24 hours. Now, here is the satellite. As that low deepened, thick cloud commenced circulating clockwise around the centre. And on the radar, heavy falls across the south coast in Illawarra. Since 9 a.m, nearly 100 millimetres at Ulladulla and above 80 millimetres at Kiama. Now, with the low remaining just offshore, heavy rain will continue into tomorrow. There's the risk of flash flooding from Wollongong to Bega, up to 120 millimetres in 6 hours. And while wind damage has been isolated so far, there is still the risk of damaging gusts for much of the east overnight, including the chance of destructive gusts between Jervis Bay and Moruya. Further ahead, it's now possible after drifting away from the coast later tomorrow, the system will send another low up the coast on Thursday.